Hello and welcome to Focus on Liberia. Welcome and welcome to the broadcast. Anthony C. co-hosting with my partner Dennis Jai in this edition of Focus on Liberia special. Indeed, it is special and it's special. Joining us in this Focus on Liberia special edition is Mr. Tony Weah. I will bring in Dennis to introduce our topic later on. Mr. Tony Weah, welcome to Focus on Liberia. We are happy to have you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Sia. Thank you so much.
And also in the house, comfortably seated to talk about the topic of this program, Mr. Akaros Moses Gray. We will always say Mr. Honorable or Honorable Gray is here. Mr. Gray, again, we are happy that you are here to talk about the issues that matter for the forward march of our country. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure being on your informative, and I hope to do my best tonight, as usual.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. Dennis, tell our people what topic do we have? What do we have, Mr. Gray here, and as well as Tony Lewy? Let's get to it.
We want to welcome all our viewers from across the globe. This is Focus on Liberia. We are broadcasting, as usual, from Atlanta, Georgia. Mr. Josh, we are in the CDC, contested the presidency twice and lost. Well, the third time was a charm. They won. It has been 3 years and counting. President Weah and the CDC is at the helm of power. Today, we want to assess Liberia under President George Weah. How are we doing so far? And so we say our topic is Liberia under President George Weah. We're going to look at the good, the bad, the challenges, and of course, the opportunities. They call it the CDC General, Honorable Akaros Gray, 2 times representative of District number 10, is here. And
number
also,
8, Dennis.
Excuse
number
me?
8. Number 8.
District number 8. 10 is so popular. District number 8 is here. And Attorney Leeway, a former party chairman of PYJ, is also here. And later on, we're going to be joined by Josh Lobo and Tavina Cole. They are on their way coming, and we're going to go into it right now. Honorable Gray, welcome again. Let's talk about Liberia under President Weah. How are we doing?
There seems to be poor internet is what Mr. Gray is being faced with. Folks in cyberspace, bear with us. We hope that the connectivity there will improve at Mr. Gray's end. But like Dennis said, we are discussing Liberia under President George Weah. We see that Mr. Gray is back. Mr. Gray, it seems to be things have gotten better at your end. Again, welcome. Let's start from the basic. How you doing and how you feeling right now?
You asking me, right?
Yes, I'm asking you, sir.
Oh, I'm excited. Once it comes to propelling the national political gospel of the current administration that we labor for, I get so excited and to do my best. And I want to say good evening to the people of the Republic of Liberia that is similarly in the USA and parts of the world. A good afternoon. And we hope to do our best. We hope we have a very cordial discussion today so we can help to demystify some of the myths and perception and about the current administration. I hope we can do our best in that direction. I want to say thank you very much again for bringing me on your informative program.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gray. Let me hear from Mr. Tony Leeway about your party affiliation. Sometimes when we come to these discussions, we want to be as transparent as possible. I know you formerly you were with MDC of Prince Johnson. Where are you now? What?
Thank you, Dennis. I wanted to make that correction before. First of all, the party is not PYJ. Neither is it within the acronym you just called. Initially I was the chairman of the NUDP in the diaspora, just a support group, basically. That's what we are considered. because we can't have another political party in America that represents Liberia. So, and then later on, I changed to MDR. I served with distinction for a little while, and then later on, I decided to part way. And right now, I'm an open, free, and independent and forward-thinking Liberian who has interest in the political dispensation of Liberia. So that's why I'm here.
Well, Dennis, before you come in, Gray is looking for political free agent. Now you are free. Gray might jump on you, Mr. Gray. You care to comment on that before we get into the discussion?
I think from his expression that I've listened to in the past, he has some friendly attachment.
And what could those be, Mr. Gray? You know,
I see him like leaning with the CPP, maybe the ANC.
Okay.
I didn't catch that. Leaning with what?
The CPP.
CPP?
Yes.
Oh, I am a Liberian who believe in the transformation of Liberia, and at current, I am neither a member of the CPP nor an affiliate of CPP. I sympathize with their cause. I support some of the issues that they have brought forward, and as a Liberian, I'm also appreciative of some of the efforts that the current government has done, except that there are a lot that needs to be done, and that's why we're here.
So let's start with you, Mr. Gray, to give us a broad brush of Liberia under President George Weah.
Connectivity again has dropped at Mr. Gray's end.
Hi, my name is Addie Tyler from Pennsylvania, and you're watching Focus on Liberia.
Yeah, so folks, bear with us here. Connectivity is always an issue. I hope Mr. Gray can come by, and that's one of the things, Dennis, we have to ask him about. Why is this internet so poor in Liberia? Mr. Gray, are you with us? All right, folks, we will take a very short break here, and we'll be right back, hoping that when we return, things will get better at Mr. Gray's end in terms of connectivity. So bear with us. This is Focus on Liberia.
Are you getting me?
All right, folks, we are back with you, Mr. Gray Drabog. Bear with us here for the poor internet connectivity that Mr. Gray is experiencing at his end in Liberia. You know, Dennis, while we wait for Gray, I want us to really chime on this. You told me, see, hey, these people talking roads, these people talking about, if it left without Dennis alone, internet. Why?
Exactly. You see, technology is a big deal. And right now, that is what happened to Japan after the Second World War, right? Because those things are hard to get. So that's leapfrogging. So instead of taking baby steps to go to wireless, to go to landline, they jump straight to mobile technology. So with technology in Liberia, we can do a lot of things. My people in Doriagan will be watching me right now. We can have a job here that we can outsource to my boys in Bannersville with technology, right? You can be in the middle of nowhere and still transact business with any part of the world. Telemedicine. People can be here in America and treat someone all the way invisible. Technology. So we can cut through this whole road stuff and go to technology, and we can be connected. But Gray, you are back.
Yeah, basically, I think the issue is that, I'm using the phone. I wanted to use the app, but I couldn't get the live stream on it. So people call me in intermittently because of what I do. So that's the issue, not the internet, but the calls that interrupt.
Okay.
And again,
there's a way you can put your phone on Do Not Disturb. That way.
Yeah.
But let's start with a broad stroke here to say, what is your assessment of Liberia under President George Weah?
Basically, my assessment on President Weah is very clear, as expected. In 2 years, and some of the analysis I will be making will be on the basis of comparative analysis. In 2 years, what this administration has achieved, that I will catalog subsequently, is unprecedented and compared to none in 3 years' time, ranging from our strive in the health sector of the Republic of Liberia to the educational sector, to rules and rehabilitation, for example, or fight in the agriculture sector, etc. This government has made extreme strides. And maybe let me just go verbatim from the source that I have here. It's very important so that the public can get to know what we say on the basis of the facts and not on the basis of imagination. So we look at some of the completed projects. I will just run through them quick. The reconditioning of JFK Medical Laboratory, the intense care unit and the trauma area were rehabilitated. Not only that, the federal land conflict, we had a resolution on the federal land conflict. That President Sellis had that issue with the people, hundreds of people. And the construction of the Doe Community Road, for the first time in the history of the country, Doe Community had no paved roads. We did that. The construction of the Logantown Broad Street connecting Jamaica Road, we also did that. The building of nothing less than 108 units of housing for low-income earners, not just in Montserrat County, but in some other counties. The rapid construction of the 14 military hospital that that was used greatly, or that is being used greatly in battling the COVID. And Liberia has a very good news. There's nothing as of the 19th. There's nothing more than a new case in the Republic of Liberia as of the 19th readings. So we have 5% death in its totality, 94% recovery, and 1%. And then there's 1% new case. We have the placement, for example, of 2,000 medical doctors, medical staffs, people who inherited that were not on payroll. So we put them on the government of the Republic of Liberia payrolls, and over 1,000 teachers who were not on payroll, and also tried to buttress the payment that some of them were getting. We sent 15 medical students minimum out of the country to specialize in different areas. The Chuba Road, about the construction of the Chuba Road. For the WAS fees, that's what people call WAEC, or the formal national exam. We've taken full responsibility, not only for that, but also for public universities and colleges throughout the rest of Liberia. We take full responsibility for tuition payment. In the Gibraltar community, there was a disaster. A wind disaster. We ensured that those buildings were being roofed by this government. The allocation of funds for the new terminal of the RIA, there's a new terminal area allocation. On the basis of laws, for example, we decriminalize free speech. This issue about free speech was a critical issue. The Abdul Kamarad Act that was signed into law. The domestic violence bill, for example, that was passed into law under administration, led by the Minister of Gender and other women throughout the length and breadth of the country, signed into law by the President of the Republic of Liberia, was instrumental in ensuring that the domestic violence bill, for example, the Local Governance Act, that will also pass into law, the Land Rights Bill, for example, also, land crosses throughout the country. I'm just naming some landmark bills. Right. The pavement of the 67-kilometer road from Ganta to Yekepa. I don't know whether you know about that. 67-kilometer roads from Ganta to Yekepa. the passage and signing, obviously, I've spoken about the Local Governance Act. You know about the protection of the ocean residents in Nukutan, where there was a disaster. You had thousands of homeless, and we did some construction in that area. Now also the construction and completion of the first regional agribusiness hub in southeastern Liberia. Okay, that was the World Bank project under our administration. We digitized the University of Liberia. The records are there. Okay, okay, the harmonization that did a drastic reduction in terms of the salary structure of the Republic of Liberia. Another thing I wanted to say before we go through the listing, another thing I wanted to say is that one of the things this government did that is strange is that we took some ministries and agencies from private properties to their own properties. For example, the NSA, the National Port Authority has a new home. The LPRC has a new home. The Maritime also has a new home. I've not spoken about the ministerial complex where we put all the land ministries and agencies into. The electrification that is ongoing, the lighting system of street lights, not just restricted to Monserrado, but part of rural Liberia. For example, Grand Cape County in Raw's Port, to a greater extent, you have street lights there. You go to Tuckman, Bomi County. I don't want to talk about the southeastern region before you say, oh, we are running into the southeastern region. As I speak to you across the bridge, the Douala Belt, for example, the process is ongoing. Civil servants are being paid on time. This government does not owe it down to civil servants. Let me be exact. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. Before you go further, I want you to, every government comes to power with a plan. All the things that you are naming, how do you square that with what the government agenda is?
The agenda of the government is pro-poor. The low-income housing unit, who does it benefit? It benefits the masses. I'll give you an example. There are areas across the bridge, Popo Bridge, for example. Some of those people have never, let me use with emphasis. Okay, there's a tautology, but with emphasis. They've never, ever slept in a concrete home. Some people in the southeastern region have never slept in a concrete home. Some have never seen a fresh toilet or latrine. That is pro-poor. That is taking them from that grassroots level of living in zinc rounds and mud homes and elevating them. You want to talk about the health sector, for example, the 14 military hospital. There are other hospitals that are under construction in the Republic of Liberia. Okay, you saw what it is for the corona situation. Some people say, oh, that waste of resources. But I had not been for the 14 military hospital. Many persons who have gone to look differently in this, like the Ebola situation in Liberia that became a widespread situation. The DNA machines were brought to Liberia for the first of its kind to help identify rape victims, for example. 2 DNA machines, one by the government and one by our United Nations partners that they brought that in to the country to help. Look at allocation. Who goes to the University of Liberia? Who goes to the public colleges, for example? It's the market women children that go to these institutions. Who pay the tuition? It's the government of the Republic of Liberia. So when we talk about our pro-poor agenda, for example, who are the civil servants? We pay them. So if we talk about the pro-poor agenda, we're talking about trying to give back to the ordinary, trying to give back to the masses. When these roads are being constructed, for example, what we call the feeder routes. The feeder route. Let me just give you an example of the feeder routes. Go to Gibraltar and see the feeder route, for example, that have never seen a paved road. Go to some other communities in and around Monrovia that have never seen a paved road. Go to parts of rural Liberia. Look at Bon County, for example, in Banga today. See the electrification, the pavement that has gone on. And people are celebrating, people are rejoicing. Okay?
Thank you.
So some of the business and LEC, I just want to tell you this.
Yeah, Honorable Gray, you mentioned LEC earlier. Let me hold you there.
No, I didn't say about LEC where we inherited a huge debt. Okay? And we pay nothing less than $9 million to keep the electrification ongoing in Liberia. Water and sewer, for example, we pay nothing less than $500,000 to help in payment from our end. doctors, we increase incentives of doctors under this administration. I'm talking about medical doctors, health workers who volunteer their services during the Ebola situation.
Thank you, Mr. Gray.
Okay, and we're now on payroll.
As we
Teachers, for
go
example.
into this thing one by one, you will still have the opportunity to be able to provide more details on what your government has been able to do under President George Manneh. We have folks in cyberspace. You are watching Focus on Liberia Saturday special on the topic Liberia under President George Manneh. Our guest is Mr. Akaros Moses Gray. They call him the general in the CDC, and he has just enumerated or listed multiple accomplishments, in his words, done by this current government. Mr. Gray, before I start my questioning, I want to bring your attention to one thing you did not mention in your laundry list: foreign direct investment, the creation of jobs as stated or stipulated in your proposed agenda, talking about 1 million jobs in 6 years. Do you care to comment on that so that we can go into our questioning, sir?
The CDC is not shying away from employment-led, CDC-led administration. Roads, for example, that have been rehabilitated and constructed create employment opportunities. Some of the employments may be permanent, some may be non-permanent. So all of these feeder roads and all of these highways that are being either rehabilitated or constructed under this administration has been creating employment. We've just gone 3 years. Okay.
Do you have a number, Mr. Gray, you want to share with us?
I can give you the raw numbers. I'm not going to come here
and Mr. Gray, allow me to hold you there, sir.
Let me just give you.
Mr. Gray, allow me to hold you there, sir. Allow me to hold you there. We'll give you the time. We brought you here to provide detailed explanation on what the government has been able to achieve. And I'm asking the question for the second time. When we had you, Mr. Gray, I asked you, is there a number that you have? You said you have no number to provide to the Liberian people, even though your document call or talk about 1 million jobs. This is the second time on your show not being able to give us a number. Mr. Gray, I'll be honest, this is unfortunate. You as a chairman or executive, you are a leader in the CDC. How can you not be able to give us a number? 3 years into your government and your plan said you will create 1 million jobs in 6 years. Do you have a number?
No, you asked a significant question. And being a chairman on the executive does not presuppose you are the chairman on Westminster Finance.
And you should get the number, Mr. Gray, because this is a major pronouncement by your government. It's major, you know that.
Excuse me, just hold on. In the legislature, we work through committees. There are committees responsible for statistics, for example, the committee on governance. They focus on that. There are committees responsible for planning and development. They focus on that. So to entire my committee to the functions of other committee, it will be unfair.
No, he's not asking you to provide this. He's not asking you to make
what I was saying.
No,
he asked a question because he attached my committee authority to a broad-based authority.
Yeah, I mean, because of your role, you should have knowledge of the numbers. Okay, you are the one compiling the numbers.
What I can say to you fairly is that I'm not going to come on air and tell you there is an exact number that is in my possession. No, I won't do that. I will never do that because you asked me first for my source. Okay, I won't say that. No, I won't do that.
Okay, you don't know the numbers. Let me go to Mr. Tony Leeway. Mr. Leeway, you listened to Honorable Gray. First of all, what's your assessment of the Weah 3 years, and what's your response to Honorable Gray so far?
I am baffled by Mr. Gray's.
Mr. Leeway, you are getting out of camera. Okay.
Oh, sorry. I'm baffled by Mr. Gray's comment that the health sector, education, roads, and agriculture have been the main growth sector of the CDC government. The question that arises is, what is the investment from this government to the health sector, to the education sector, the road connectivity he spoke about, the agriculture sector? What is the budgetary allocation for these sectors? And I want Mr. Gray to tell us which of these projects were initiated by the LA government versus what the Weah government has done. I want him to focus on the CDC government's achievement and not what previous government has put in place. That is a continual process for government continuity.
Yeah, you know, you asked a very important question, and if you listen to me keenly, I catalog completed projects, initiator projects, some initiator projects by this administration. And let me just quickly focus on a few issues that you raised. We passed a supplementary budget
Mm-hmm.
of 6 months, as opposed to a 1 year budget. In the last supplementary budget, we have nothing less than 16 million United States dollars for education. And that's comparatively to what President Seti had on the 110 before she left power. Okay. Recently, we have, in fact, for the COVID fight, we ensured that there was this $25 million allocated to provide feeding, etc., and help battle COVID. Recently, we just provided 2 million United States dollars towards the fight of COVID in the Republic of Liberia. For example, the fire disaster, including national security, everything is under national security, because you know the fire service force on the security apparatus also of the country in Liberia. Okay, so we increased by allocating nothing less than $2.5 million just 3 days ago. Just 3 days ago, so that that $2.5 million say increase. I'm not talking about what is there. Okay, to help so that it can be distributed. Okay, amongst the security apparatus and the fire service, I definitely going to take a sizable amount, because you know of the current national consistent fire disaster in the Republic of Liberia.
Mr. Gray, by increasing it,
yeah, go ahead.
Are you robbing Peter to pay Paul?
What do you mean by robbing Peter to pay Paul?
Where you consistently talk about we increase this, we are paying this, but there are other sectors that you are taking the money from to put it to this place, right? That's why I'm asking you if you are robbing Peter to pay Paul.
No. That's not what we are doing. I think what your thought is about shifting. Okay, I think the concern is about shifting, maybe from, for example, from the health sector. I mean, from maybe defense to the health sector, or maybe from the legislature to the health sector, for example. I think that's the kind of thing you're talking about, doing some shifting. No, it's not that we just passed a budget or just recently over 500 million United States dollars budget that we just passed.
Mr. Gray, since you brought up the budget, let me ask a question, and it'll be a bit of a simple question. The special budget that you just passed, if I'm correct on the number, I saw 90.3% for recurring expenses. And I also saw
Can you be audible?
Oh, I'm not audible enough?
No.
Yeah, talking about the special budget, according to what we researched, you have allotted 90.3% for recurring expenses, if I can put it that way, and you only have in the 9.7% for investment. Are you satisfied with that, Mr. Gray, if we are talking about development here?
When you talk about investment, in what sector?
Let me read it. This is from the special budget.
Yeah, because investment is not just blanket.
Yeah, Mr. Gray, this is from the special budget, right? Total expenditure estimate for the special budget is 201.5 million. Okay, the total expenditure envelope for the special budget is subdivided into two categories. Recurrent expenditure amounts to 272.1 million, or 90.3%. And investment expenditure is 29.3 million, which is 9.7%. And if you look at the graph here, you see recurring, and you see the other one all the way down here. That's what Mr. C is referring to.
And Dennis, he dropped out. I hope Mr. Gray can join us again so he can answer the question. Because Dennis, technically, if you look at it, this is the pity of our situation. All right. Now you have a $301 million as a special budget from, I think, July to December. You have 90.3% to recurring expenses, and all you have is just 9.7% for investment. And the money that is invested is the one that is intended to improve the material condition of our people.
Right.
If you look at that, there's nothing there for them. And when we factor, the issue of ineffectiveness on the part of these officials plus corruption, that very 9.3% you're talking about, they will get maybe 1%. Their situation will not change. I hope Gray will come back to respond to that.
And that the issue that you have described, these are the things that are happening, affecting various sectors. Take, for instance, the gender ministry. I mean, they have a lot of work to do. We saw the roadmap, but almost all the money that is allotted for that ministry is just to pay salaries. So the actual work that is left to be done is never done. I mean, we had a deputy minister or the assistant minister, and he said they don't even have Excel spreadsheet to take statistics of the work that they are doing.
Let me jump in here. The thing that bothers me is that Mr. Gray is not telling us what percentage of that budget is allocation to the health sector that he, so eloquently stated that is being, captured in the budget. He's not telling us how much was spent on education and the roads and the agriculture sector, because I am concerned if you are talking about agriculture, which is something that the Liberian people are actually concerned about, especially so with regard to feeding themselves, food sufficiency, then you need to invest in that area. What is the amount of money, amount of funding from the budget that has been allocated to these sectors is where I'm asking, and of course I have not been able to obtain any answer to that question.
And then if I may here, Gray listed a lot of accomplishment, million projects and roads and buildings for, the MPA, the NSA, and all those things. And, this is how development in Liberia has been put on this, mediocrity scale, as something worth for us to celebrate. So you pay billing for NSA. How does that impact, Mambo, in Nikrutan who's selling coal? And that is what I really want to know. And I want Mr. Gray, thank you for being back. We are sorry that there's this constant interruption. I mean, the popular people, when you come here on the show, made an announcement to the people that call you all the time. Please, I'll be on a call.
No.
On a show, don't call me.
If you are going to inform me that that strange guy you are sending me, I'm going to download the app on the app. I realized it late.
No, what you can do is you go and put it on do not call.
Yeah.
So I have a question for Mr. Gray.
Yeah, that we got to continue because if I need the time.
Yeah. So, Mr. Gray, I was asking a question on the budget you brought up, right? 90.3% for recurring expensive, 9.7% for investment. You were asking me when you say investment, what investment? The budget has been divided into two. If you look at the $301 million, 90.3% is recurring expensive. You know better than I do what is recurring expensive because you in the leadership there. Then the investment is all other thing that is intended to improve the material condition of our people. If you look at it, is it fair in your opinion? And does that signify that you guys are serious about the investment and development you're talking about?
Okay, let me read some for you properly so you can be able. I don't want to speak ambiguously about investment and current expenditure.
Please do.
But let's look at the COVID-19 vaccine. For example, we have $2.5 million. Do you have that? You want me to send it to you?
Yeah, Mr. Gray, you can do that later. Go ahead and flow.
Well, no. We gotta break it down so that people can be able to understand the portions. Okay. There's additional appropriation for special project. An additional appropriation. That's what I'm sending to you. So what are the additional appropriation? Ministry of Education, additional appropriation is $750,000. That means what we added to what existed. Okay. For the Liberia Electricity Corporation, LEC, $1.5 million additional appropriation. I don't know whether you have that copy in your possession or you're only looking at the first or just copy with all the breakdown. Okay. The we got $150,000 for the TVET program, and the reason is simple, because our French partners, and that is the EU, they have ensured that they're going to spend into the TVET program of the Republic of Liberia $19.5 million United States dollars to help build the capacity of young people to our country. with few counties that will be benefiting, nothing less than 5 counties. Okay, so that was not captured yet. I'm just trying to give you this information about our partners. So some of the money we put in the budget, okay, from the end of the government, there are other international partners who contribute millions towards some of these entities.
I want to jump in this conversation, Mr. Gray. I'm concerned. Let's forget about what the our international partners are contributing. What is it from this supplementary budget that the Liberian government is contributing to the Liberian people in terms of improving the lives of our people? That's exactly what I want to know, and that's the question that Sia is asking.
The entire budget contributes towards the welfare and life of the people of the Republic of Liberia. For example, civil servants. No. Let me answer the question. Civil servants, for example, are Liberians. When they take pay, they will pay school fees. When they take pay, they will be able to go to the hospitals, for example. When they take pay, there will be trickle-down effect, for example. So yes, not only civil servants, but even employees of government. Are they not Liberians? Is that not part of the welfare of Liberians that we are discussing?
Could you please tell us what is the percentage that goes to the 3 branches of the Liberian government headed by you and Weah and the rest of the people?
When you say the percentage, it will be deeply unfair because the entire budget makes a clear representation of the 3 branches of government and the rest of the Republic of Liberia. So it will be unfair to say this is the percentage that goes to this branch of government, or this is the percentage that, because, for example, the executive branch of government, okay, has the spending power. They have to do road rehabilitation and construction. They have to spend in the health sector, for example. They have to spend in the educational sector, for example. So it will be an unfair statement. Okay.
Thank you.
I think
so what percentage of the budget went to the health sector, the education, and agriculture? What percentage?
And I think with all fairness to you, we are drifting away from the subject matter and only sticking to one.
We are discussing the subject matter.
We're talking about the good. No, excuse me.
Hold on, Mr. Gray. Hold on.
We're talking about the achievements of the government. That's the good. We're talking about the bad. We're talking about the challenges of the government. So we must stick to the subject matter than just restricting it to one supplementary budget that was just passed recently.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. Let me welcome Tavina Cole, who just joined us. Tavina is social activist. Tavina, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm sorry I'm late. Hello, Mr. Gray.
How are you?
Conversation. I'm loving the way it's going. I'm ready to jump right in. I am ready. I was listening and you know, and I was listening, but Dennis, can I come in now or should I hold my verses?
Sure, go ahead.
So the first thing, let me congratulate Mr. Gray. Before he said he got beat with bare hands, let me congratulate you on your engagement. I understand you got engaged a few weeks ago after the money was distributed. Hopefully you didn't use some to get engaged.
In foreign land.
But congratulations. Oh no, good no congratulations.
No, I think that congratulations brings some sarcasm.
No.
No.
Mr. Gray, it's a reality that you guys got some money.
No, excuse me.
Right?
Excuse me. The question here is that no, we have to address that.
Let's take turns.
Let her complete, Mr. Gray, and you can come in.
Okay.
Effective communication, one at a time, please, sir. So I want to address. You know, you list out a lot of things that the government have done, and it's good. But let me talk to you smart about comparative analysis. Once you want to compare gains of the government, you need to look at 2 things. You need to look at what you said during elections, and you need to look at your PAPD document, and then we do the comparative analysis from there. We don't start doing gains from Ebola or 60 kilometer road. Let me take you home a little bit. Let me take you to your document, and I'm glad you came up with that document. It's a good document because you know what, we can do performance metrics from there. So the first thing, I'm glad also that your phone, it's your cell phone keep going offline, because it's not because people are calling you, it's because of the bad internet service. Because you know what, Dennis and I or Anthony, we can go into the settings of your phone and show you how to put your phone on do not disturb. You will still go offline because of the bad internet service. In your PAPD document, you told us that you'll give us fiber optic service You increase it to 30%. I'm looking at your document. 30%. You will also increase the usage of ICT. Almost 4 years into that, where are we with that? You also said in your document, let me chronicle some things here for you. You will go, you will the adjudication of cases, you'll go from 50% to 75%. Where are we with that? You said that 75% of the farmers will have access to productivity, and 75% of them we have the 75% of the women farmers adopting new and innovative technology. Where are we with that? You also said that 10,000 disabled people will receive disability allowance. Where are we with that? 7,000 old age people will receive pension by 2021. Where are we with that? So when we're doing comparative analysis, that's where we should start from. Not these things what just happened. And I'm going to go through more of them because I had the opportunity to go through your document. And I'm going to give you more to remind you of where we need to start the comparative analysis from. You said you would give us 2 DNA machines. What UN or WHO gave you does not count. Because you know what? When you put that in your document 2018, you were not considering UN or WHO. To date, you have one that is non-functioning. You also said that you will give us.
Can we take it one at a time?
No, let me finish. I'm almost there. Of course, yes.
Okay.
I'm just giving you a few. I told you I will dissect your whole document for you. You also said that you will get a forensic lab up to date to take care of rep victims. Where are we with that? So I will stop there and I will bring you back to the document on top of everything else. So I'll stop there. That's just an intro. Thank you.
Okay. I would love to first put you into corrective measures.
Please.
It's unfortunate to live in imagination first, to think that when the film is going on, it means because of our internet. That is sad. You don't sit near me, you don't even know what I'm doing. So it's unfortunate. Don't do that. Because like I said before you came on, when you send the stream, the iPhone or the iPad, okay, it doesn't go directly into it like that. So I had a conversation with him even before that. So I'm using my regular phone line, the regular line to call action. I told him that. Okay.
I think
so
we're
don't
having
imagine
a conversation here, Mr. Gray. Let's continue.
Excuse me. No, when you bring inside statements, you need to be corrected.
Inside statement as a statement. We can continue on the subject.
Are you the person who asking me?
I'm not a moderator, but you are wasting our time.
That's not irrelevant to the conversation. Let's focus on the core issue, Mr.
Right.
You're wasting people's time.
Excuse me, Mr. Lee, let Mr. Gray go ahead.
Go ahead, sir.
I think you don't know this game more than me. Let's respect each other. You spoke here, he didn't say anything. I want us to be respectful to each other on the program. Okay? I waited for you. So the next thing, when you spoke about the issue of 30,000 hours, you know when they gave the House of Representatives 15,000 6 months ago? I don't speak for the Senate. Okay, so that perception is not a joke. We got to be serious when we come here and start comment. On the issue of your question on the PAPD, you raised some very critical issues that I said, let's take it one at a time. Are we executing the PAPD? Obviously, because you look at the kind of issue you raise. When the government says, I will provide 2 DNA machines, and the government lobbies for 2 DNA machines to come to the country, and you sit on this program and say, because the UN gave it, so it's not the government. Who asked for it? Who lobbied for it? We bought one as a government. We asked for another one. Have we not completed that part of our commitment under the PAPD to the people of the Republic of Liberia? Yes, we have. It's like telling me the Japanese role, for example. It's like telling me investment by the World Bank into Liberia under President Seri. Billions of dollars that were pumped into the system. Under her administration, you gave her the credit. When it comes to Joshua, you don't want to give him the credit. And you're talking about projects. Okay, for example, when President Seri completed the Ministry of Health, that was started by Samuel Doe. You chill. You were clapping around here. We just gone. Look, let me say this. You talk about women issue. I was just speaking to the head of the fishery industry.
Right.
Okay.
Mr. Gray,
Have women
go straight to the issue
about something
that
about
So I'm
employment.
FOL did not tell you I'm not affiliated with any political party, so please do not
No,
tie
I'm
me
not
to
saying
that
you're affiliated. Did I
yeah,
say?
yeah. Oh, okay. Hold on, Mr.
Did
Gray.
I say that?
No,
Mr.
you
Gray.
said I hail Madam Salif. So
No,
that
did I say you
Hold
are
on.
affiliated with? Now let's stick to the issue.
Tavina.
You gotta stop
Honorable Gray.
interrupting when the time reaches. You
Honorable
will speak.
Gray.
Okay?
Tavina raised some
Maybe ANC lady, I don't know.
You see
Mr. Gray.
You see
Tavina raised some issues from your PAPD.
You see?
So address those issues quickly so we can move ahead. We have a lot of things
That's
here
what
to cover.
That's what I said. We have to take it one or two at a time.
Yeah.
Because when you ask 10 questions, we may not be able to answer all 10 at the same time. So now look at the issue of empowering women. We have a cabinet. Let me repeat. We have a cabinet of 18 persons. Cabinet ministers. Let me use the word cabinet ministers because we have 21 persons in the cabinet. Of the 18 cabinet ministers, we have minimum of 5 proper ministers in this administration. Proper minister I'm discussing. In the entire West Africa, the first deputy chief of staff, female deputy chief of staff, comes from the Republic of Liberia. A chief of staff of the armed forces of the Republic of Liberia. You're talking about women issues. Okay? Now, we have a vice president who is a female of the Republic of Liberia. That's no debate about that. The CDC, even before coming to the governance process of the Republic of Liberia, had the highest number of female representatives ever in the history of the Republic of Liberia. So there's not a strange thing about employment. Now we're going 3 years to run a judgment.
Yeah,
To run a judgment
can I
of 3
interrupt
years.
a bit? Mr.
To say
Gray.
that the administration has failed on the
Gray.
PAPD is unfair.
What do we start and
Honorable Gray,
timer here?
I want us to go bit by bit, right? Tavina raised the issue of the disability, the things that the PAPD pointed out. Those are like 5 different issues that she raised. Tavina, please go over them one at a time so that Gray will respond to them quickly.
Yeah, I will. And by way of introduction, I'm feel with no party. I have never been with no party. I am.
But don't. No, but wait, now don't find yourself guilty.
Papa, wait. That's here. They're not fighting. Wait.
Hold on, Mr. Gray. Tavina, please go quickly to those points.
Tavina.
Hold on,
Mr. Gray, you're trying to filibuster here. Don't bring your legislative skills here, my man.
I'm not filibustering. She's talking more than giving me the chance to answer.
Yeah, hold on. No, I just want her to reiterate those points that she raised.
No, when you ask her a question and she's still talking, you can't do that.
Let
be
me
real.
itemize for you.
Yeah, itemize, Tavina, quickly.
Okay.
But you itemize already.
Well, no, wait. I got more for you.
Go ahead.
In the PDP document, you say you will reduce the incidence of SGBV to 50%. 15,000 youth between the ages of 15 to 35, you empower them. You also mentioned that 10,000 young people will be employed in productive public works. You also mentioned that 175 women will be empowered across 15 counties. All right?
Let's stop there. Let's take it one at a time. Until you give that, let him respond.
Okay.
Please. Yeah.
When you talk about, for example, 10,000 young people being employed in the productive public work. What is productive public work? Rural rehabilitation is productive public work. Teachers, for example, many of them are youthful and exuberant. It's productive public work. Health workers, for example, who put their lives on the line under President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, nothing less than 2,000 of them were placed on government payroll. That's productive public work when people save your life, for example.
Check.
Okay.
So you met the 10,000 bracket for education. That's why you met it 10,000. You employed 10,000 to education.
You asked a question. I spoke about the health system. How many persons you employ?
Let's go to SGBV.
Not listening?
Let's go to SGBV, reduce SGBV violence to about 15%.
50%. Mm-hmm.
In what context? Let me ask. In what
Your
context?
own document, or I'm just saying, speaking your own document. You wrote it. You're the actor. You're the crafter of your document. You can't ask me to interpret your document.
Okay, let me
say
say this to you. I think a general issue. Let me help you on the general issues. Okay, let me help you on some of the general issues. For example, we ensure that there is a passage of what we call the domestic violence bill, which is very important for not only women, but for young people, for old people, for both men and women. That bill is very open up. If you want a copy of it, I can circulate that to you.
I have it.
Okay. We ensure that we had an agreement with our traditional folks to suspend certain traditional practices, which I don't want to state publicly here. Okay, they agreed with us and we suspended that traditional practices.
So, Mr. Thanks for the information, and that's information I already know, but you did not answer the question. We're talking about data here. So when you're talking about laws and we're talking about data, if you say you're going to reduce the number of incidents of cases by 50%, we're talking about data. We're not talking.
Okay.
So
and you are unrelated.
Okay.
Since you want to talk about data, it's very important. Okay. Roughly, these people, for example, who go to these traditional practices in Liberia. We have not less than 10,000 persons into that. To suspend that automatically, it means that number will not practice such traditional practice automatically. So that is even more than 50% in its totality.
Okay. So hold on, Tavina.
Yeah, Davina, you have to hold on. Okay, this is not the usual Facebook page thing that you can say Jefferson could you rip someone that.
Hold on now, Mr. Gray.
You see, Joe?
I went on your page and I will show it to you.
Yeah.
Can we talk to
our representative
question we have instead of this
traditional practices?
Yeah, Mr. Gray.
That we support more than 50% of our commitment on that aspect of life.
Thank you.
Just by the suspension.
Thank you. All right. When the document says they will reduce the incident of SGBV violence, meaning, let's say, if they were reporting that they are raping 10 girls every day, that number is going to come down. Do you have any data based on what the PAPD document said of the incident of how many times now you're getting that kind of statistics?
On the issue of rape, okay, I can say to you for sure that issue has been a challenge in our country. The issue of rape has been a challenge in our country. There is nothing for us to sweep under the carpet. It's no joke about that. That's why in that direction we ensure that, because you need prima facie. You don't just need people saying, oh, he raped me or she raped me. And to have prima facie in that direction, what did we do? We chose to bring nothing less than 2 DNA machines. To also help broadcast the rape law of the Republic of Liberia, what did we choose to do? We also chose that we'll pass the domestic violence bill that is signed into law. So when we say we do reduction in terms of percentage, it's not just the raw numbers. It's also by the bills. It's also by the actions that we take. Okay, those are very significant things. Because to reduce numbers, you must have laws in place, for example. You must do that. To reduce numbers, you must put systems in place, for example. That's what you need to do. So have we put some system in place, for example, by bringing the 2 DNA machines? Have we put some system in place, for example, by ensuring that we pass the domestic violence bills for Liberia that should be commended today? Yes.
Thank you.
That government has done that.
Thank you.
So on the basis of that,
thank you,
analysis that you are making is not just the raw numbers.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. It's not just
with the preventive measures.
I will bring you leeway, but Mr. Gray, it is not what you put in place, but it's the impact of what you've implemented. That's what we're trying to assess. But let me go to you, Mr. Leeway. What's your question?
I'm a little bit confused. Mr. Gray is talking about 2 machines.
We can ask about the impact.
Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Gray is talking about 2 DNA machines in the midst of 15 political geographical locations. and in the midst of almost 5 point some million people, is this enough to serve the people of Liberia, especially in that context when rape is occurring almost at an alarming rate under this administration? That's the first question. The second question is, when is the government of Liberia going to implement the decentralization so that the political subdivision of these counties can be self-independent to elect their own people? Maybe that's a different topic, a different conversation, but I like to throw that in because I want to know what Mr. Gray is thinking. He's talking too fast, so I'm getting a little bit confused, and I'm getting a little bit concerned because it looks like he's trying to smart talk also. We can just, flow.
No. You are a very smart man. I call you senior brother, in fact, because of age difference.
Yes,
you're
I
very
am
smart.
older than you.
You ask a significant question. I love the question you ask. That whether 2 DNA machines are sufficient enough
to serve the entire country of Liberia.
Problem, no. Let me say to you, absolutely no. But we should be commended that since 1847, over 170 unbroken years, because I don't want to put the other years there on our administration. No one was able, have been able to bring in DNA machine. So why can't you commend this administration for bringing in 2? Why can't you commend the administration? For example,
Mr. Gray, may I interject?
The second question you asked is about the decentralization. Let me conclude on decentralization.
Mr. Gray, before you go to the decentralization, let me interject. You said the government should be commended for bringing 2 DNA machines. I got 2 simple questions. Tony talk about 15 counties. I also learned, Mr. Gray, hold on. Tony talk about 15 counties, right? Where are the 2 DNA machines located? That's the first question. And why, if they are located in one locality, why you think it makes sense that it is that way? The second question to that, Mr. Gray, is he asked a question of the decentralization, so I'm going to throw it there. In your document, you said power to the people. I read it. My understanding, another interpretation of that power to the people, so that the people can decide for themselves who represent them in their respected locality. Where are you with that? Go ahead, sir.
I mean, it's a significant question because you asked about the DNA machines. Okay, yes, we have the machines in Monrovia. You know, the rape cases are very high here. And I think it could be rotated. That the Ministry of Health will speak to it better than I will speak to that on the DNA machine rotation. Okay, but I answer a question that is not sufficient enough for the Republic of Liberia, but at least, like she said, we committed ourselves to 2 in the PAPD, and we did that. So that is achievable. In 3 years, you said what you said. Okay, that's what you said. Now, let me go to the issue of decentralization. In all fairness, I have described the Local Governance Act. That is what we call the LGA. If you read the Local Governance Act substantially, and I can send you a copy of it, it speaks to the issue of decentralization. It was passed under this administration and signed into law by this administration. As the former chairman on governance under the past administration, okay, I declared the act as the mother of all bills in the Republic of Liberia, where power, where resources, some of the resources, that's where the issue of the county social development, let me use the word social development funds, where concession companies are. These concession companies are under obligation to give back to the community under the social development. Yes, that is capture. When it comes to making decisions in the county, and I'll give you an example. Okay, for example, the county development fund's decision has to come from the people. I'm not saying this, the county development fund, that decision has to come from the people. So the Local Governance Act is a big document and it's a recipe to help address the issue of decentralization. And that's the critical gesture for the people of Liberia.
Thank you. Hold on, Tavina. I want to bring in Mr. George Lobo, who is just joining us. George Lobo, you have your name there, say Boakai. What does that mean?
He just changed his name.
Mr. Lobo, please unmute yourself.
Mr. Lobo, welcome to the show.
How you doing?
All right, Mr. Lobo just joining us. Mr. Lobo, welcome to the show. You have your name there. You have Boaka on the other side. What does that mean?
Yeah, because I don't know why it was done that way. But let me add, I think at this particular point in time, given the fact that I just want to take this time and say to our Liberian audience, I want to apologize, Dennis Jar and Anthony C. and to my TFB sis, Mr. Tony Lawe, and the general himself, Liwin, the general himself. Let me say sorry to all of you. This is not part of me. I'm out of town, and traffic on this side got me caught up. There was some impromptu things that happened that took away from my being here, but I'm trying to do the best I can. I was following the conversation earlier from my other phones, and I listened to the honorable lawmaker articulate some of his accomplishment, and I'm looking forward to having this discussion. I just want to say to the honorable man, what we would love to hear today. He is one of those top executives of the CDC. They inherited the country in 2018 on the promises of change and transformation. I will be looking forward to listening to some of those progress that have been made, and I hope that discussion is what I'll be part of. I want to say again to all of you Liberians, I sincerely apologize to you. That is not part of me, but I'm glad to be here. Dennis, even though I could not, I said I must be here. So I want him to tell us how Liberia is now better under the George Weah administration, the CDC that they gave birth to, and the life of our people. And that's what I'm here. And I could not miss this.
Thank you, George. Dennis, I want to say, George, welcome to the show. We are glad you're here. You can do commentary. You can ask Honorable Gray a question as well. Mr. Gray, let me come in. You said your government should be commended, celebrated for bringing in 2 DNA machines in this technological age. It's like Akara Gray saying, tell me, Akara Gray, thank you for using an iPhone in the 24th century. That is laughable, Mr. Gray. That's how I see it. We are in the age of technology, and you want your government to be commended for DNA machine because we never had one in the days of darkness when there was no, when technology was not prominent, in the war. I mean, how do you look at that? And my second question is, Mr. Gray, the PAPD, your government mantra is pro-poor. In your own opinion, you, Gray, and others in government representing the pro-poor agenda, are you living pro-poorly? Go ahead, sir.
Good question.
I will come to the issue. Let me address the first question. When you say it's a shame, it should be a shame on those who govern this country, inherited the highest wealth of the country, like you, women economically with national political stability, who did not do that. In 3 years, as opposed to 12 years, as opposed to the rest of the years in the Republic of Liberia, 170 years. You bring in something that others did not bring in. Do you know how many cases are being raised? Do you know how many denials people make? What should be the evidence? What is one of the evidence base? One of the evidence base has to do with the DNA machine.
And how is it effective in the work of the case? Because you're not using it, it's dusting.
I think I should not appreciate this administration. You know how many parents are appreciating this administration?
It is not effective in the use of cases and the reduction of cases. So don't take nothing credit. We're not going to have you ranting on this show.
You have your time, Tavina.
The issue.
I think everybody frozen. I don't know what's going on with it.
Mute me, please.
The issue of life. When I say pro-poor means people will not consistently live in poverty. That's why I presuppose.
Are they lifted from poverty now?
We should be rare with the definition. If you want to ask me personally, before this government came to power, I have worked 6 years under the past administration. Was I properly paid under the Unity Party administration as a lawmaker? I don't want to make the debate personal. But under this administration, what we made under the Ellen Johnson administration as a lawmaker, when your benefit is put together monthly, let me discuss monthly, we're getting nothing less than 8,000 and some more dollars in United States dollar cash monthly, plus nothing less than $2,225 gas.
I have a question on that, Mr. Green.
Tony,
hold
on. Tony and Tavina, please do not interrupt. One at a time, please.
I mean, the guy is going on and on and on. I mean, how do we?
Hold on, you got the floor.
What did we do? We cut that down in the House of Representatives from 8,000 plus United States dollars to 4,000 plus United States dollars. That's what we did. That's what we did. That is proper. The president made a clear-cut pronouncement that no cabinet minister or managing director will make more than 7,000 United States dollars.
But
No
then,
managing
how many minutes are we allocated here?
no managing director in this
Interrupting. Okay, Mr. Gray.
that made 15,000 United States dollars is even making 7,000 United States dollars. No minister that made 78,000 United States dollars is making more than 4,000 or 5,000 United States dollars under this
Can I
administration.
provide some factual context to this?
Thank you. No, Lobo, I'll bring you in. Let it end. Mr.
But
Gray,
let's set
30
some
more
ground
seconds.
rules here. We need to set some ground rules.
We decided to cut down on waste to ensure
Mr. Gray, you got 30 seconds left.
we're constructing markets. That's taxpayer money we're talking about. That's proper.
Thank you.
Proper does not presuppose that people will consistently live in abject poverty. And I hope this question was not a personal question to Representative Gray, because I can tell you the proper agenda intention is not for people to live in abject poverty. That's not the objective. Have we cut down on waste in government to a greater extent where we harmonize salary, where government officials are not lavishly living in terms of what the benefit from the resources of the state? Yes, as compared to the last administration. Do we have 3 more years to address other issues? Yes, we have years to address other issues. That is the problem we're talking about.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. Hold on, I want to bring in George. Hold on, I want to bring George. Most of what Mr. Gray is saying is on the Unity Party government, right? Like 12, he consistently mentioned 12 years. It has never been done before. This is what we inherited. What's your response to Mr. Gray?
First and foremost, it is laughable and very embarrassing that a lawmaker will come and sit on this platform and do such a disservice to the people, to speak of propo. Honorable Gray was in the government. So for him to say the people who inherited the wealth of the country for 12 years, that means he is also saying for 6 years he was a lawmaker. George Weah was a senator. The current vice president was a senator, that they did nothing. That is his argument. I hope the Liberians are listening. But what I'm not here to do today is to provide free license for people. Mr. Ja, I just sent you a picture to focus on Liberia. I want you to please put that up so Mr. Gray can look at it. I think, Honorable Gray, I will ask you to do us a favor. I understand the talking points from the political standpoint. I get it. I think it's a disservice to the Liberian people to sit here and continue to spill out or just misinform the people and lie. It's not right. On the issue of more people living in poverty, I don't know where you're speaking from, but I will help you so you understand this, Honorable Lawmaker. When you say you've improved the life of the people, let's talk about the basics. Let's talk about creating the economic conditions for the people. Let's talk about consumer spending. You want to boast about wage harmonization. There's nowhere in the world in any economics that you reduce people's income in a slow economy with high inflation and you brag of improving their livelihood. Because when inflation numbers are high, it means the cost of living has gone up. So when you cut people's income in a slow economy where inflation is high, it means it's costing people more to live today than it was yesterday. And you've reduced their ability to live. So just so you understand, this is a free economic lesson for you. Let's come to the issue of the numbers. Honorable Gray, I will challenge you as a lawmaker sitting here today and prove me please wrong. Don't say you don't know the numbers, you're not a finance guy. I think that would be a disservice because you talk about how you saw the budget, you read through the budget. Since the inception of the CDC government, can you name me five health centers or major government hospitals that under this administration, that their funding have increased by 5%? And can you categorically provide factual information for us where your CDC government have made available 60% of appropriations or allotment made to any of those healthcare centers? It has not happened. Hospitals are closing here and there. For you to sit on this platform and say your understanding of Popo, Mr. Gray, it is true. What Popo means, more Liberians today live in abject poverty than before. I will help you with basic data, Honorable Gray, and I want people to fact check us. Before the Unity Party came into power in 2006, the national poverty rate of Liberia was at 68.0%. When UP left power, the national poverty rate of Liberia was at 50.4%. In 2019, the national poverty rate of Liberia was at 55.5%. And I hope you, as a government official, you have that data. Here is it down there. Please show me where you have improved the livelihood of our people as a lawmaker. Here is the national poverty rate. Show it for us from 2005 to 2017 and 2019. Is that your understanding of Popo? Is that the argument you make? So for me, I just want us to say to the Liberian people, Honorable Gray, you are in the Congress. Appropriations it should be prioritized based on needs. And it's sad to say that under this administration, there have been serious cutting of funds for local entities. When we talk about priority of needs, you as lawmakers appropriated $3.4 million to yourself. Are you going to sit on this platform and tell us that that appropriation was of a major priority? Was it of a need when Liberians at Liberian Water and Sewer have gone 7 months without being paid? How do you improve people's life when you have?
Thank you, Mr. Lobo.
That's a lie. I wish this day was set another day for you and I one-on-one.
All right, we'll arrange that one-on-one.
Arrange that.
Mr. Gray,
Please put a graph on, let me see the numbers. I don't want him to be speaking for opinion. Let the graph be there so you see the numbers. So he can speak to that and make us understand.
It's a bad connection.
Mr. Gray, go ahead, your response before Tavina comes in. Mr. Gray, can you hear me?
30% increase of fiber optics working.
Okay, let me come in and let me quiet down the colleague from on the extreme of the political continuum.
He read it with you when he falling with political skill.
Tavina, I will mute you.
Mute me, please. Mute me, please.
Excuse me. Look, I'm listening. Let me know. Okay, we're not joking here. We're saying something serious about the country. You asked about hospital. You checked the budget about what we did for referral hospitals in the supplementary budget. Now, you're joking. We constructed a 14 military hospital in this country. You asked about hospital. The Redemption Hospital, $14 million United States dollars ongoing construction. You want to talk about hospital in Liberia under this administration that you didn't even build to? Is that the debate you want to bring to the table? Oh, you're really serious about that? You talk about waste in government? All the panelists here are accused lawmakers under the past administration and under the current administration of taking huge salaries. You supported Senator Darius Dillon when he said he will receive no benefits, he will cut down his salary, and you advocated for him, you debated for him. Are you getting me?
Go ahead, Mr. Gray.
You debated for him, and you come here to say it economically when there's a cut. Under this harsh reality, there is a problem. When you cut a minister or an MP benefit from $15,000 to $5,000 United States dollars, and the population clap for that, including you, that led an advocacy in Montserrat County for a senator to get elected, that ran on the pedestal of pay court. What is your argument? That's hypocrisy. Maximum hypocrisy of your argument. That argument does not suffice. Under Ellen Johnson-led administration, because you asked me a direct question. Google my name and check it. I fought against every bogus concession agreement and never voted for one. Under Ellen Johnson-led. Let me repeat. I fought against every bogus concession agreement and never voted for one. The entire 6-year budget of Ellen Johnson-led, I never supported a single budget. I raised cardinal issues of University of Liberia support. The records are popular records for consumption. I boycotted the State of the Nation address because of a crisis at the University of Liberia.
Right, Mr. Gray.
No, hold on.
No, I just want to interject.
Mr. Gray, you are blowing your own trumpet. Just respond to the question.
Yeah, no, Mr. Gray, you will continue.
The Liberian Senate was presided over by your standard bearer, who signed all bills, resolutions, and concession agreements. Your standard bearer. A Senate dominated by the Unity Party-led administration. Nothing less than 22 of them endorsed Joseph Weah in the presidential election. That he presided over. That he signed all the concession agreements. Only 3 made up with international standard over 67 concession agreements under his administration as presiding officer of the Liberian Senate, the president of the Liberian Senate. He signed the budget that you said they gave us huge amount of money, but can't sign the budget before sending that budget to President Ellen Johnson-led. Let me educate you, probably you don't know. There are 4 persons that affix the signature to bills in the Senate and in the House. 4. The Vice President, President of the Senate, the Secretary of the Senate. In his absence, then the presiding officer will be the pro tem. In the House, the Speaker and the Chief Clerk. In the absence of the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker will do that. So Weah presided over the wastage of millions, quote unquote, in the political landscape of our country. He did nothing. The presiding officer, as president of the Senate, you have the authority to hijack motions. You have the authority to make a determination of the agenda.
Mr. Gray.
You have the authority to recognize those who will speak on the
Mr.
floor.
Gray.
To bring Weah to the national political
Mr. Gray. Mr. Gray.
The party is sudden. I can tell you that because never
Mr. Gray.
Right?
Mr. Gray.
The waste of chaos and forceful economic theories that you push in the riot. That's how you damage the economy of our country. That's why you do it.
Thank you.
I want to respond to that when I get a chance.
George, your audio is very bad. Mr. Gray, we don't want to make this we're talking about the Weah government or the Weah, Liberia under President Weah, the good, the bad, the challenges and the opportunity. We are kind of deviating to Weah and DeLong and the rest of it. Tavina, you had a question. Tavina?
Well, a couple of things here. One, I think we're all over the place and we're going out of scope here. We're not here to count what Mr. Gray have done in the past. The topic on discussion again is to measure the government with what they've done, what they said they would have done, what they have done to date, what their weaknesses, what their strengths, and what are the way forward. That is the topic on the discussion. Excuse me, sir. Even if you took from Madam leave and she left you, for the sake of conversation, she left you empty coffers. You came, you said you will hope for change or change for hope. That is not the discussion today. Everything here, we're measuring CDC-led government. When I'm speaking, sir, I'm speaking. So when I take on a role, let me use myself. When I get interviewed for a role and I take on the role and I have 6 months to perform and I have performance metrics and the goals and they tell me I have to perform and I measure by that when I get to be evaluated in 6 months, I don't go there and say, give me 6 more months, or you know what, the person that took her from me, blah, 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 and give all these excuses. We're not going down rabbit hole today. We're sticking to the issue. We're going to discuss the gains of the government. That's why you asked for this forum. We are going to discuss the gains, the weaknesses, and the way forward. And I want to correct very briefly the issue of about the 50% reduction in gender cases. When we say 50%, we're talking about the data. You were at 90 cases a month, and I'm going to reduce it to 45 per month. That is what we call reduction. In your very document that you wrote, you said you're going to reduce it by support services and true access to justice system. That is why you are measurable. I'm very versed with data as well as analyzing things. So don't give us all this talk. Keep that one for the capitulation. Today we have limited time, and let's not waste our audience time. Let's talk about the gains. Let's narrow the scope and go from there, please. Please. That's all I have to say, and let's move on. And I'm still putting your document. I have a few more things to ask for, but I will wait for my turn.
Yeah, let me go to Mr. Weah. You are muted, Mr. Weah.
Mr. Gray has not told us why is it that 70 to 80% of the budget, whether it's national or supplementary budget, is used for recurring debt. And he kept answering and campaigning against Boakai and the rest of the other people. That is not important right now, as the sister just indicated. But I'm curious to know, what is his view on the issue of decentralization of government, so that each county is allowed to elect their own people? Has that bill stalled in the house, in both houses, or we are just talking, just having a talking point? What is the status of that bill to have each county elect, not appoint, elect their own representative, which has to do with the county officials, such as superintendent and other county officials?
Okay, Mr. Liwe, Honorable, before you come in, Tony, you asked the 2 questions earlier.
Yeah, but I didn't get an answer.
Great talk about it, and you even went further that we can even have a specific show on that and focus on that. Bro has taken note on that. So, Mr. Gray, we'll hold you accountable on that. That is a major bill. You even describe it as one of the monumental bills ever passed in the House of Legislature, and not many people know about it. Will bring you in, but for the sake of Tony's question, you may come in, and I will ask my question. Go ahead.
Yeah, there are 2 concerns that have been raised. One from my sister, who talk about support services, and I think we'll discuss the issue of support services when it comes to use of gender. We spoke about the ended missions. We spoke about the bills, for example, domestic violence bills. We spoke about people are being prosecuted, for example, people are being bars, rape. It's a non-bailable offense, etc. So yes, there are support services and access to justice. I think it's a very good question you read. On the issue of decentralization, the reason why I'm going back to decentralization, I just wanted to make a correction. The bill is already passed. One of the counter arguments, because I'm one of those who are working with Dr. Sawyer, one of the counter arguments is that the bill initially had the issue of electing county officials or county having its own Congress, something like that. So one of the strong arguments against that aspect is that not the issue of electing, is the issue of Liberia is not a federal state. Liberia is a unitary state.
Okay.
So what, as you said, you're talking about bill. So for example, the Supreme Court have ruled that certain mayors can be elected under President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. I mean, appointed, not elected. So no bill under the doctrine of decentralization can be passed to elect mayors except the Constitution is changed to a referendum. That's one. That's very important about electing our local officials in that direction. But in the bill has where county can elect. Yeah, when you flag that issue, the issue of electing county superintendents, for example, the question will what will be the difference between electing a county superintendent and the senator? Because both of them should be like controlling the county. So what will be the difference between them? What will be the difference between the administrative head of an administrative district, a statutory district, and a political district that is headed by a lawmaker? So those were the counter arguments, and some of colleagues brilliantly argued those points. So that could not have been placed in the Decentralization Act. So yeah, there is this Decentralization Act. Yeah.
Excuse me, you said the difference between a superintendent and a senator because both of them are elected, so their function become the same. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that there will be a thin line. Liberia is not a federal state. We are a unitary state.
I understand that.
Now, so
I don't see where the confusion is, but go ahead.
The confusion could be that it means each county should have a legislature.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
I mean, in the legislative branch of government, the superintendent is in the executive. I mean, it's like night and day.
That's what I'm saying. The superintendent is in the executive. So the argument, what would be the defined role of the superintendent and the defined as an elected official?
And Mr. Greta, what Dennis is saying, the Constitution spells it out. If the superintendent is in the executive branch of government enforces what? The laws. Now, if you're talking about the legislator is in the legislative branch, he's conducting oversight and making law. There should be no confusion whatsoever.
So
but again, let me say, Mr. Gray, we can talk about this later.
If the superintendent is elected, who controls the superintendent?
Then if the superintendent is elected, the superintendent will execute the executive.
No, then there must be a constitutional change. Then there must be a constitutional change.
Yeah, Mr. Gray, the superintendent will be enforcing the executive powers of the county, whereas the legislature will be providing oversight and making laws. So let us leave that for now.
Obviously, so a bill cannot address that because the Constitution says the president must appoint. So to take that power from the president, there must be a constitutional referendum. So in the issue of the Local Governance Act, so a bill cannot address that.
I agree, Mr. Gray. Let's leave that. Let me bring
Mr. Gray, you show us
Mr. Global can come in.
The accomplishment of the CDC.
Yeah, Dennis.
We also talk about the good, the bad. Tell us about the bad.
There are challenges.
No bad. Challenges.
I will not use the word bad.
Okay. What are the challenges and what the government is doing to address those challenges?
But I told you, I've already told you some of the good things we've done helping to address the challenges.
I got that. I talk about the challenges now.
I'm saying that there are challenges. Okay, we still have challenges in the health sector of our country, which we must admit to.
What are those?
Okay, some of those challenges that we're trying to address the issue. For example, the location of some of the health sectors and the rule laying towards some of those areas. Some of the rules are very bad. You know about the Tapetal Hospital that President Salif on our administration, the Chinese constructed. You know, the rule has been very, very bad in that area. It's a challenge for our patients in the country, whether we like that or not. That is a challenge. Are we helping to address that through rural rehabilitation, construction of pavements? Yes, we are making progress in that direction to a greater extent. Okay, we need to create more opportunities, which I would say that in terms of employment, that's why we're tackling the agriculture sector of our country. You know, we increased the budget of agriculture. Okay, and that's why the president made it his responsibility to ensure that he visited the agriculture ministry and doing everything in his authority to ensure that our farmers are being empowered. And rules, again, there's no way you can take the issue of rules out. Recently, you know, we sent the bill on tourism that we believe that will open a bigger opportunity for employment, not just in Monrovia, but throughout the Republic of Liberia, will bring more development to our country. We believe that if that bill is concluded and signed into law, okay, that would be some degree of openness. Electrification, we are doing well, but still we need to reach out to some parts of the Republic of Liberia, to some parts of rural Liberia. We are doing extremely well in that direction. So yes, there are challenges and there will always be there will always, let me repeat, there will always be challenges in the governance process of any administration. So yeah, we're not 100% perfect. I won't say that, but I can tell you we'll fulfill all our promises and commitments.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Talking about
Mr.
the
I
health
got a
sector.
question for
Hold
Mr.
on one
Gray.
second. Do you have any idea about the doctor to patient ratio in the country?
Good question.
It's a good question, and I won't be able to tell you that off here now.
Okay. From what
That's
I've
why,
got,
in fact, that's why. Let me just quickly say this to you. That's why the population census, we've passed a resolution. You know, the census comes with a great developmental agenda. It raises and addresses all of those issues. Even the population of the Republic of Liberia is only being predicted. Okay, there's no real absolute empirical data from population census taking to say that the population is 5 million Liberians. It's only being projected.
right.
Okay.
All right.
Mr.
From what I've gathered, we have 4 million population and we have 298 medical doctors, making it
That projection.
Estimate.
The population.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, they are basing it on the 2008 census. That's what we have. So it's more
Chief,
now. So with
Chief,
298 medical doctors, it's 1 to 15,000. Just talking about the challenges, that's one of them.
There were big debate about that census. That's why the census was not used to make a determination of the electoral district in 2011. I don't know whether you follow that debate. Yeah, the legislature had to endorse that census before I became lawmaker. So it was a big debate. Some people claim that they didn't reach to their villages to count them. Okay. Some people made a lot of arguments on the population census. In fact, some counties were being deprived. So there were big legislative arguments before I became a lawmaker.
The next census should have been 2018. We still don't have it, and we don't have the by-election. What's going on?
The by-election, I want to talk about the issue of the census, is that we've already carved a resolution. The president, in fact, wrote the legislature about having the population census. So all modalities are being worked on and put into place as I speak to you for the population. On the issue of the by-election, we already notified the National Elections Commission to carry on the by-election. So if you look in the supplementary budget, I think it's over 1 million, 1.5 million that is in the supplementary budget to help the National Elections Commission in that direction.
So will you consider those two as challenges or the bad?
When you say challenges or the bad, what do you mean by that? Okay.
The census you have been taking like what? Almost
it's 3 years behind.
3 years ago.
Dennis, if I may jump in here. The census is 3 years behind. Hold on, Mr. Gray. The census is 3 years behind, and the major reason is because of money. You, the CDC government, could not find the money. Now, you got elected. You are aware of this. And up to now, you can't find the money to conduct the census. Don't you think that is bad when you are 3 years behind a national census?
No, when you say bad, what is bad about the census?
A violation of a law is bad, Mr. Gray. No other way to put it.
No,
it's not a challenge. It's bad.
Of whatever he sent you that
do you want me to answer the question? There are some aspects of the Republic of Liberia that may still be in some degree of transition, whether you like it or not. Wow. Let me repeat. Yes, that's the reality. It's not wow. Okay.
It's just strange.
Now, when we come back now, then you say we don't make the comparison. Okay. In 3 years, there are various sectors. You're discussing the health sector here, for example. You're discussing the educational sector, for example. You're discussing rural rehabilitation, you're discussing agriculture, you're discussing employment, for example. Liberia, as far as I'm concerned, I have no census with all international support. I know about that. The census you're talking about, the past census, we have strong international support and good way towards helping that census. Okay, very powerful international support. Some of these supports have been directed to other war victim countries because Liberia, in their view, have passed that level to some extent.
So we don't have the money. That's it.
So what we've done, we already set a timeline of nothing less than 2023. Okay, nothing less than that, to have the census in Liberia, and the modalities, like I said to you, if you go to Legis, okay, You can send your reporter there also, ask them on how far they've gone with this and what are the mechanisms, what are the framework documents they put in place. Okay.
All right.
And what the assessments the bench.
Mr. Gray,
So,
that will answer
yes,
our question.
yes, in short, it's for challenge.
You're just
In short, it's for
let
challenge.
Mr. Preacher raise
In short,
the
it's for
motion.
challenge, but it's not a failure.
No. You know, I think it's a back and forth between you and Gray. So
George, your audio is bad, so you gotta get out and come back in. Your audio is bad.
The man
George,
calling for Joseph Burger House. So the audio
audio still bad.
Yeah, it's very
yeah,
bad.
audio is bad. Just log out and come back in. Maybe you'll correct that. Yeah.
So the internet problem, George, getting America.
Okay.
Mr. Gray, here's my question. Mr. Gray,
I think
here's my question.
Yeah.
Mr. Gray, here's my question. From my following of things since the CDC came into power, the price of nearly everything has increased.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's better now, George. From my following of things, Mr. Gray.
Quick, maybe because of time. It could be because of my location. Let me make something real quick. Again, I will apologize to the Liberian people for me being late.
Oh, George, stop apologizing. You did that. Go to the issue.
No, let me say why. Answering. Mr. Gray, the honorable lawmaker, is running all around the place. To hear the honorable talk about financial challenges here is mind-blowing. A few days ago, he was posting a graph of their government recording record-breaking revenue. This is the only government that is recording record-breaking revenue, but is having financial difficulties in meeting its expenditure. I don't know how that makes sense to anybody, but let me say a few things. I want to ask Honorable Gray a question real quick, and I want a yes or no answer. I know you're a politician. Honorable Gray, it is being perceived, widely discussed from the seditions, that they inherited a broke economy. The president says it, all the ministers, including yourself. In this public gathering, can you look at us and say again that what the CDC government inherited on January 22nd of 2018 was a broke economy? When you answer that question, then I'll follow my next question. What will you say? Do you believe? Are you convinced you inherited a broke economy?
When you ask such a question, yes or no, okay, I'm not your student in the classroom to direct that I should answer you yes or no. I'm beyond that. So you can go ahead with what you want to say and I will respond.
No, answer the question first. That's my first
question.
No,
I said when you go ahead, I will respond.
So let me ask you, do you believe as a lawmaker, someone who lived in Liberia, you and I know you from on the bypass, before you were elected, you saw the country from 2006, let's just say from 2005, or Taylor Day, because that's how far I know you, from Taylor days, up to the CDC now that you are a government official. Do you believe in your president, your minister of finance, and all the CDC government officials that indeed your people, the CDC inherited a broke economy on January 22nd, 2018? That is my question. Then before I say anything after that.
Okay, I will allow you to say something. Let me say this to you, what the central bank governor, the then central bank governor Weeks, when we summoned him at the legislature along with the finance authority. In the operational funds, I'm not talking about the foreign reserves, they left nothing more than $5 million United States dollars in the operational funds. You know, that is what is used to pay civil servants, run the government, etc. We had nothing less than 15 days to pay civil servants through the rest of the country. So I will wait for your question and I will appropriately address the second question.
So again, I think the Liberian people will decide that the honorable man, it's easy for the minister of finance to say we inherited a broke economy. The president can say it. I don't know why he won't say it. But here's where I'm coming from. If the CDC that inherited Liberia in 2018, Honorable Gray, inherited a country with a budget of $526 million and made a national reserve of $154.8 million. You just told us that the central bank governor told you that in the operational funds, that they made $5 million there. I have the tendency, I know it is when someone's older than you, which you are, is to say it is not true, because I do have Governor Weah's testimony to the legislature. I hope I will come back on this platform.
Are you joking?
Sir, don't interrupt me when I'm speaking.
Jesus Christ.
Don't interrupt me. Do that thing.
Go ahead, Josh.
Okay, you speak. I don't interrupt you. Don't do it again.
What?
George,
Go ahead,
I can interrupt you. Don't take offense.
So let me just proceed.
It happens in intellectual discourse.
So let me say this.
So
here's what I want to say. I want to just bring the facts to the Liberian people, right? If indeed, truly, you made $5 million, how is it you did a recast budget? The first lady was appropriated $500,000. Civil servants were paying the first 4-5 months of the CDC administration. I think we can argue that. So that's something that Liberian people will debate for themselves. Honorable Gray, the reason why I'm bringing this to your attention is that, you see, as policymakers, it is good to preach politics all the time. But sometimes when we come to these discussions, the Liberian expect a lot out of us. It is to tell the people the facts, to tell them the circumstances that do exist. You talk about school, you talk about the educational sector, the health sector, the economy. In the health sector, you've done nothing to improve the health sector. Don't quote me. Patient die at Phoebe Hospital because of the lack of electricity. Let's quote the administrator of the government hospital in Buchanan. He said, and I quote, I've borrowed so much that this time there's no fuel for the ambulance to run. Yet then you are sitting here as a lawmaker and want to tell us about appropriations and what you're doing with the budget. You have been the 14 military hospital you talk about. It has been under construction for the last 2 years. Is it 100% completed today? Is that what the Liberian will wait for before hospitals in Zozo will be better? Your Minister of Finance told the Liberian people that you need $12 million to buy medical supply for the country. And he said they only appropriated $4 million in his little podcast he had. So I don't understand how you come here today and tell us a government that is saying that they're recording record-breaking revenue. You talk about the educational sector. Let's go back to the 2019-2020 budget. You appropriated some 600 some more thousand for BWI. How much they receive? Less than $60,000. Is that your understanding of improving the sector? Is that what improvement means? Can we at least, as policymakers, when you guys come to this conversation, can you tell us, provide data for us and say, listen, we came to power. We met Phoebe Hospital. The Ellen Johnson Sirleaf government was giving Phoebe $1 million. It was not enough. As Popo, we wanted to make the people's life better. We wanted to invest in the healthcare sector. We appropriated $1.5 million. Go to Phoebe. The Minister of Finance made sure they receive it. Again, Honorable Gray, I want you to understand something. Appropriation made by this government. You yourself know. The counties can barely get the county development fund until recently when you're getting 100,000 each. All the officials have said, since the inception of this government, county development funds have not been forthcoming. So how do you better off people's life? And you are here bragging about decentralization when the most basic thing that should support and foster decentralization, but the people county development fund, where a county setting can be held and appropriations and the decisions can be made, it is not done. What I would say to you, Honorable Gray, before I leave, if you believe, and which of course you know you could not answer, here's what I want the Liberian people to understand. When the Unity Party came into power, Honorable Gray, they met a national reserve of $6.5 million, a budget of $80 million. So if the CDC that inherited a budget of $520 million inherited a mess or a broke country, I think Liberians should now begin to say, so then what did the Unity Party government inherit? On this note, I want to say, Dennis Jah, I want to thank all of you, Telvina, Mr. Lavia, that my first time meeting you. I hope we can have this conversation again. Anthony, Dennis Jah, Honorable Gray, it's a pleasure hanging out with you guys. I wish you people all the best. The Liberian people have a choice to make 2023. If this is what they will settle for, they will make that decision. I think the senatorial election send a message. It is not loud enough, but you'll get the rest. Take care. Bye-bye.
You know, I just sat back and I listened to the national political recitation by George. And all that he said is just a recitation. You know, like he said, truth telling is very important. This is the former central bank governor on record, appearing before the House of Representatives. And this uninformed unity partisan comes on air and wanting to misinform the people of the Republic of Liberia. That is unfortunate. Extremely unfortunate. Like you said, we should not be wearing our caps backward, which is very significant. The CDC is held in foul. I just wanted to say to you, because you raised the issue of propos, under this administration, we've constructed nothing less than 7 markets completed throughout this country, not only to shut out our people, but to help our people. We're giving loan out to help small businesses under this administration. Under this administration, I can say to you, we have built local homes of nothing less than 1,789 low-income houses across the country. Let me repeat, 1,789 low-income homes across the country. We've done that.
You said those before, Mr. Gray.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. And I will say to you, 605 propose housing units across the country, benefiting 13 counties. 13 counties of the Republic of Liberia. Unprecedentedly, that's propose.
Thank you.
That's identification. That is identifying.
You have to
What
let
is
us
disadvantage?
talk. We can't have
That is, I wish the way Mr. Gray has just received some numbers.
Just 1 minute, no. When George spoke here,
hold on, Mr. Gray. Hold on, Mr. Gray. We have 10 minutes to end the show.
He spoke for like 5 minutes with all interruption.
He was ending, but I gave you 30 seconds to end your talk.
Yeah,
there's not a show when tomato
we
come.
have
It's
to
not
come
a
in
part-time
too.
show.
Tony has to come
Mr.
in.
Gray.
We're not just here.
You
This
will
is not
come
a
in.
monologue.
Mr.
Let me
Gray,
conclude.
30 seconds
monologue.
conclude.
You should be talking about your political partner in the CPP monologue.
Yes.
Hold on.
Hey, look at it. Stop reading
Mr.
yourself,
Gray,
man.
Your political partner has a
continue.
monologue.
Mr. Gray, continue.
Okay.
You have 30 seconds.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that great respect. It's very important. Let me tell you what we did recently when it comes to propos. Registration fee for testing under their administration was $190. We have reduced it to $75. From $190 United States to $75. Propos.
Thank you.
Now,
Mr. Gray. Mr. Gray, that's understood.
From $250 we'll go to $150.
You all want us to get from those
Mr. Gray.
Hold on, Mr. Gray.
We can do so.
Mr. Gray, thank you. We got that. We got that now.
$50 now registration when you are charging the $150.
That's true.
What's this now? The $150 when you are charging the $250. And you ask me what we've done for the poor people in the Republic of Liberia, or what are we doing?
Thank you.
No.
Thank you.
My brother and friend. Try to bring somebody better for the Unity Party to enter the national political structure.
We'll have that debate between you and Lobo. It will come.
But he cannot debate me. Bring somebody better to debate me.
When does he stop?
Okay, thank you. Tavina, your turn.
No, I will leave my time to Tony.
All right,
and I will come back to Mr. Gray.
May I come in, please?
Discussion of the demands.
So,
Mr.
Gray,
our brain and now our heart.
Mr. Gray.
No, we're using the brains and we're not using the heart.
No, that's not emotion.
It's my brain.
You have
Mr.
to
Gray.
know when to speak and when to be silent. And
Mr.
that's
Gray.
what you haven't understood yet.
Thank you.
We're not in the field here. We're in a forum. This platform, the mantra is to educate and to elevate. And you're
But
not
what we're doing, but you're just not interrupting.
We're not here to listen to a monologue. Give other people the opportunity to talk.
But you waste your
Gray,
time.
can you hold, please?
Come here.
Thank you, Tavina. Thank you so very much.
Man. I expected you to speak up, man. Why you waste your time to the man? Anyway, you can collaborate. That's CPP.
Thank you, Mr. Gray, and we understand all your tactics.
Yeah, man.
And that is understandable. I have a question, and before my question, may I say I wish Mr. Gray, the way you just received that little note, wherever it came from, and you were just reciting. I hope one day you will get some numbers on the propos 1 million jobs you talk about. I will continue to ask you that question. And so please do me a favor. As you leave today, whoever responsible to put the employment data together, Mr. Gray, please get those numbers and bring them here. Just as you received the number for the housings just now, do that. Yes, my question, Mr. Gray. From a following of things since CDC came to power, nearly the price of every basic commodity has increased. Does that tell you that you're doing well, or does that tell you that you're doing poorly?
Can you repeat whether the administration is doing well?
Mr. Gray, let me repeat my question. Since you took over, the price of everything in Liberia has increased, either double or triple. Does that indicate in any way that you are doing poorly or that you are doing better?
Oh, yeah, actually, a simple question. A very simple question. And I know at a point in the financial war, one cent had a strong value. I know at a point where you sit in America, things that you were buying for 10 cents, maybe today you are buying it for $1. Mm-hmm. Financially, it's not retrogressive. There's no argument about that. So to counter-argue, to say that maybe because something was sold 10 cents before and now it's sold 15 cents, okay, I think it's unfair. Because around the world, there's a global challenge. Around the world.
So what are you doing about it, Mr. Gray? You say it is because the main fact that things are increasing on the world scale. That's what's happening in Liberia also. What are you doing about it? Are there subsidies being put into place so as to minimize or reduce the cost of this basic commodity because you have very poor citizens who can afford?
Yeah, I think it's a good question, fair enough. Are we ensuring that we do everything in our might to empower the local farmers, for example, okay, to be able to complement maybe our local diets, because the freight price around the world has gone up. Okay, you know about that. Sometimes petroleum product price will go up around the world, will affect Liberia as a country. I think those are the things that you're talking about. So those things that we can handle locally, that are consumable locally. Yes, are we working in that direction? Obviously, we are working in that direction. And even because of the challenges that our drivers and the transportation fares, for example, what did we do? We negotiated with our partners and brought nothing less than 45 buses in our country to help ease the transportation problem, and more are to come as I speak to you.
Thank you.
In the fishery industry, just a minute. In the fishery industry, NAFAD is empowering women that are involved into that. Okay, there will be nothing less than over 500 Yamaha machines. Maybe in the next 2 to 3 months that will be given to our brothers who go on the high sea, just to help subsidize. Okay, $40 million will be spent to build a fishing port, exclusively an industrial port in Liberia.
Where are you getting this data from?
I'm telling you from NAFAD, the fishery industry of our country. I'm giving you credible information that you've never heard. 10% of that money for feasibility studies is already available. Speak to the fishery industry of our country, the authority.
Thank you.
And you need to speak to them.
We're almost out of time.
We say propo.
Yeah,
you know how many persons live on the water?
Almost out of time. Yeah, we got
giving the fishermen across the country that we still
got 3 minutes to go. Let's divide the time equally.
Empower them. So he struck a very important point, and I love that point.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr.
I just wanted to close on this. I just wanted to say on this question.
You will be the last to close, so don't worry. Let me bring Kavina in.
No problem.
Yeah. Kavina, come in, please.
I enjoy Mr. Gray. We have your monologue. But, on a serious note, You know, is it closing? Because
No,
Yeah, it's
go ahead.
closing.
it's not closing. Would I close it?
No, let's close, Davina.
No,
Let's close.
Mr. Gray, it's funny listening to you, going on and on. It is not a sign of weakness to accept some areas of weaknesses or some things that you did not do right. For example, you have 2 DNA machines that's barely used in the city in Monrovia for a whole country. And you say that they should rotate it from county to country, to county to county. That is a weakness, counted as a weakness. To not have taken census up to date, and you say you guys have a target date of 2023, that is a weakness. When you say you're going to give 175,000 women, make them empowered in 15 counties, and you haven't done so, that's a weakness. When you say you're going to do 6 sports stadiums in some counties, and you haven't done so, that's a weakness. When you also said that you're going to give 100,000 students free meals, and you haven't done so, that's a weakness also. 17,000 people that you're going to put on pension and will be receiving pension, that's a weakness when you haven't delivered to date. When you said that you will give 10,000 disabled people allowances and you haven't done so, that's a weakness, because we can tell from the mentally challenged people in this, in the streets and all around the protests and everything else. So it's okay to identify your weaknesses so you can work on this. Instead of coming here and just talking the usual campaign talk and just trying to get, all these your fans will get us. Oh, the giant is talking, the general is talking. The people that are watching, and thank God this is a live podcast, and everybody can watch it now and later. They can see right through you, because this platform is being followed by really sound people, and they can see right through what you're saying, and they can also do their research to know that all you're doing is just talking, no facts to back it up. You're just talking just to get get warm up and just to get your fans going. So I hope that you'll come back when, I don't know, you and your global or whoever, you can come back and you can bring us more substance, and you can bring us more data, because for us, some of us were driven by data and stats and not all this talk and all this talk. Go back into your proper document, put it in a spreadsheet, what you've done, what you haven't done, and then come back and let's talk about it, because that's where the discussion needs to start from your PD document, and also what you promised us during the campaign. Not Mada Salif, not Josiah Jiggin Roberts. So I'll stop right there. I thank you for the discussion. I'm glad to share a space with you, even though the time was short, but I'm always available. And again, I am not CPP or APP or whatever you want to tie me to. The day I join a party, I lose my independence. And I'm glad that I'm not with any party, because I can scrutinize anybody, anytime, the way I want to. So I'm not with any party. So I just want you to get that clear. And the host of FOL know that I'm not with any party.
Thank you. Tony, you are muted. Unmute yourself, please.
Towards the CDC, if the goals align. But on a serious note, I am a little bit disappointed in our Representative Honorable Gray, because I expect that coming on this platform, he will provide some information, important information with regard to data, percentages of what has happened with regard to employment that has been created by this government for the past 3 years. You have only 26 months to go. Who knows whether you're going to be elected or not? Unless you wreck the election, we don't know what's going to happen. But up to now, you have no data to provide to the Liberian people in terms of what you have achieved. This is disturbing. All of what you have enumerated, most of it are projects that were initiated by the previous government. Negotiations were made and signed by the previous government. The project I remember that this government promised was Coastal Road project, which was highly heralded, for which the legislatures agreed and even put that into their system in terms of accepting it as a project that will be benefiting Liberia. Up to now, we have not heard what happened to that project. There was another pronouncement by the president about Bali Island, which was going to make this, quote unquote, the swampy area of Monrovia a very beautiful place that is equivalent to that of one of the most beautiful places in the world. That has not happened. I'm not sure what's going on. There's a disconnect between what has been promised by this government and what is going on. We were told by the president during his inauguration that Liberians will never be spectators in their own economy. Today, the Lebanese, the foreigners in Liberia are actually the beneficiary of what Liberia is all about. To the extent that even Weah's own private projects were all built or are being built by foreigners in the country. Whatever the connection is, we don't know. But here is my major concern. You have Chinese company undermining the city of Monrovia with sand mining. You have Chinese and other foreigners undermining the economy of Liberia by literally exploiting the rural part of Liberia with regard to diamond mining, gold mining, and any mineral they can find in our grounds. What is the government doing about it? Apparently, we are told, but even your minister of mining and that of the Senate Pro Tem are in cahoots with those people. And eventually, most of those of you who are legislators have partnership with those people. In fact, we are told that you brought them in as people who are going to be working for you and you are gaining the maximum benefit. Is this what you call pro-poor? Is this how pro-poor government operates? Yesterday, from 2017, picture that I saw of Mr. Gray was a very poor guy sitting with tia in the Liberian language pens. Today, he's living large, quote unquote, and living large to the extent that the car he rides cannot even be afforded by an ordinary citizen. Is this what you call pro-poor? What is the definition of pro-poor to you? As a matter of fact, the Liberian government under Weah has not even invested over what the Ellen government has invested in the health system, the agriculture system. Tell me what percentage of the budget is been allocated to those areas. Education, healthcare, and other areas of importance to the Liberian people. Today, you talk about free education at the University of Liberia or other universities. Seriously? When the students were demonstrating recently about e-education, which is now forthcoming,
e-learning
is made to be available by virtue of the fact that somebody pronounced it, the protest, and you send your police to shoot them. Additionally, you have most people who are critical of the government, who are speaking against the government, sideline and exile. Then you're talking about pro-poor. When you were demonstrating yesterday with Ellen Johnson Sirleaf coffin with painted in red to say this is how whatever it is that you represented. Nobody demonstrated against you. Nobody put you in jail. Nobody arrested you. Today, whenever you put your foot out, you are arrested for being against or anti-government. The Sabu unit of CDC has been weaponized to terrorize Liberia. Is this the government that you say is pro-poor? How do you convince investment to come to the country? How do you convince investors to come to the country to invest in the country when you have a situation where every county literally has a situation where there's rioting, there's conflict, there's confusion, there's killing, to the point where government officials who are people who
Thank you, Mr. Leroy.
who learn to help provide education to our financial system were being killed in record numbers. Today, there has been no investigation.
Thank you, Tony.
To you, what is it that your government want other than terrorizing the people of Liberia? Let's be real. Your time are numbered within the government. Be very mindful of what you do and how you do it. Don't come here and sit here and lie to us. I like you as a brother. I think you're a young brother who has a lot of potential, but don't put your name in that category of one of those who've been deceiving Liberian people. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Leroy. Thank you, Mr. Leroy. That was a long closing statement. Graham and I disagree politically, but I hope when he's giving his long closing, you guys will not murmur as well. Mr. Gray, that is not an incentive for you to be very long. Dennis?
And before Gray come in tomorrow, in commemoration of our flag day that is supposed to come on Tuesday, we're going to have a show. Should the flag of Liberia be changed? Yes, no, and why? You don't want to miss it. Mr. Gray.
Yeah, I like what you said, and I hope I'll be given the opportunity. I smile because Mr. Tony, right?
Tony Leeway.
Mr. Leeway has expressed maximum ignorance. And yes,
Mr. Liberia, you are speaking. He didn't say anything. Please, let me patient.
I just been insulted as an elder brother that he called me. Maximum ignorance. Interesting. Go ahead.
Let me maximum ignorance and operating on hearsay. They say, yeah.
No.
See, he said that on the show. I'm not going to debate with you. I'm closing. Look, you levied allegation, for example, that the projects that this government is doing, the past administration project, were all data analysis. You raised the issue about data analysis. You could not state even 2 projects that from the past administration that this government is doing. That is unfair. You raised the issue of people being killed and people dying. You raised the issue of people demonstrating under the past administration that they could then not go to jail. It's unfortunate. Bullets were shot at the headquarters November 7 of the CDC. Innocent, unarmed civilians were live on Al Jazeera, live on the CNN. People died. People got wounded. People were killed. I went to jail December 23rd on a Friday, 2011, accused of wanting to overthrow the President Sally-led administration because of disagreement. Where were you? When Chairman Moba Molu, former chairman of the Establishment for War Crimes Court, protested 9 different times arbitrarily, he was being arrested. Students at the University of Liberia, G.W. Gibson, Topman High, with pictorial evidence, were being brutalized in my district. Police forces entered the classrooms. Are you serious? When people were deprived of their fundamental rights, you saw what happened? When people said we must step down and we allowed them to protest, when people asked for Ellen to step down, they deprived them of protesting. Fandara Patrick's, that's in the United States of America, got arrested. When your group were asking for Weah to step down and protested at the Capitol building in the Zaidi mansion, no one got shot. No one was arrested. The rights that we protected Liberians with to freely express themselves is unprecedented in the political landscape of this country. And you say we're just talking because we want to talk? We protect your rights. Let me say this to you. There's a sudden, and the 2 journalists, one of them asked this question before. He said, because you knew Akara's grade before? And when there's transformation, you question the transformation. I said, because you stay in the United States of America? We will have better correlation in the United States of America than you. You don't know our background. We went to some of the best schools in the history of the Republic of Liberia and paid the highest tuition. You must be a joker. To question in 2017, already a lawmaker, and you're talking about 2017? Are you joking?
Honorable Gray, you have 1 minute.
No. You see, you gave him a longer time. But I want to say to you today, no, we have to address the issue. I see my sister sits in the back and talking about data analysis and facts. What data did you bring to the table? What analysis and facts did you bring to the table to say in 3 years you promised 300 jobs, but you cannot show full? What analysis? We're talking something serious here. We're talking something serious here. The people you're supporting, they have no record in this country for doing for the Liberian people. Before George Weah became president, I wanted to set this record straight. He single-handedly sponsored the highest number of students in the history of Liberia as an individual. At the University of Liberia, we were there. At Cottington University, yes. What do you want to say? In your career, he took the highest number of soccer players from this country and built their capacity and economically uplifted them.
30 seconds, Mr. Gray, you can close now.
What did he do for Liberians? Ellen Johnson said, working at the United Nations, what did she do for Liberians? Have you asked yourself how many Liberians they help and empower? Group of selfish people? Have you asked yourself about Joseph Boykai, who were accused by Macintosh when the Loaf Arrest Project went there? Have you asked yourself? Have you asked yourself for somebody who sat like a Pike Oka for 12 solid years, and you want to make such person president or the Republic of Liberia?
Thank you, Mr. Gray.
What's the issue? Don't say thank you. I didn't interrupt you.
No,
okay?
Mr. Gray, we have to conclude.
Let me say this to you in my concluding statement.
Right.
What we've done in Liberia, no government has done that. In a healthcare delivery system we brought to the country, like the ICU now we're talking about, the trauma unit we're talking about, nobody has done that. Putting health workers on payroll, nobody. The number of low-income homes that we constructed and taking electricity to areas where there have been no electricity since 1847, from the independence of 1822, from the political foundation of the Republic of Liberia, no government has done that in 30 years. George Weah has brought transformation. George Weah has taken people from disadvantaged communities.
And
today, I can say this to you. There were people who you spent on yesteryears. You are among those who call footballer grown-up boys. You are among them. You are among those.
That's irrelevant to the discussion, man. Wrap it up.
Mr. Gray, just conclude.
Wrap it
You
up.
are among those who believe that the guy cannot do something good. If you provide equal,
we're not on the jumping train here. We're renting. Don't waste our time.
Hold on, Tabina.
No, but you're spending more than 3 minutes and this man just renting.
My sister, just waste more.
I'm not waiting. You're wasting our time.
Oh, my man.
Let him conclude. Let him conclude, Tabina. Tabina, hold on.
But my sister.
Tabina, hold on.
Closing is closing.
Tabina, hold on. Let him close.
I've been very tough. You've never had somebody disagreeing with you like in your lifetime. If you have
Gray, Mr. Gray, just conclude your statement.
I'm too strong for you. I'm too strong for you, Gray.
You don't have power here. You want to shoot. So I will say to you, and I will say to that commentator there.
No, say to our audience now.
This is an intellectual forum. Start names calling.
I will say to that commentator, well, the man said, "I went here, around. You don't know nothing."
Mr. Gray, now let's conclude this thing. We are way over time.
Yeah.
I want to say to you, whether you like it or not, you always have Representative Gray here. I'm the perfect panacea for the gossip, the Facebook gibberish,
and we love you.
The lies and the deception against this administration. Will bury those lies and deception as long as we appear here. You have no candidate, George Weah, will not rig election. We beat you, like we defeated you in 14 counties, all of 15 counties. Statistics and records are there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. Tomorrow we're going to, at 4 o'clock, we're going to have On Point. That is Jerome Gilman and Josh Tully. Then at 6, we're going to have our show on the flag. Should the flag of Liberia be changed? If yes, why? If no, why not? Join me tomorrow with the most intelligent, most informed partner on the planet. We want to thank all of you for watching. Thank you, Mr. Gray. Thank you, Mr. Leeway. Thank you, Ms. Cole, for the show tonight. We really, really enjoy. We hope Mr. Gray will be coming back. And we love when you come here, Mr. Gray. And we love the intellectual exchange. We want to say thank you to all our viewers tonight. And I'm going to send it to my man, Ansune Sie, who always have something to say at the end of the show. And he's not supposed to be doing that, but he does it anyway. Mr. Sie.
Dennis, thank you. I continue to say we should be in search for the glorious land of opportunity. But when Grace says they are building hospitals, when we see the records 150-degree opposite of what he's saying, what good is it, a hospital, when it can't take care of a patient who is carrying malaria? We saw Mambutu was taken out of the country. The question is, where was the military hospital? Your vice presidents were pulled out of the country when she got sick. Was the military hospitals there? I'm using that as a case to X-ray all that Mr. Gray has enumerated here as being achievement. And he said Their government is doing what no other government has ever done. He even listed putting teachers on payroll and all that. The last time I checked, my great-grandfather was a teacher. He was on payroll during Old Man Tubman time. What is Gray talking about? But let me shorten the monologue to say, Mr. Gray, we love you and we love the exchange as always. We know we'll always have you here to talk about the things that matter. Tony Libya, thank you so very much. Tevina, my lawyer friend, thank you for coming. I hope next time it will be less confrontational so that our audience can enjoy it more. Audience, we apologize that we did not read your comments and we did not take your calls. Next time we will do better. Akara Gray King with Fire. Mr. Gray, shorten the answer sometime. When we say thank you, slow down, Mr. Gray. We will always have you and you will always have the time to talk. The song says we are all Liberians, and that song closes us right now. Dennis, we want to say thank you for being the guy in control here. Focus on Liberia, where we educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. Bye-bye.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home. Liberian people. Liberia.